Milsurp Garage. Mossberg Model 151K. You know I love these 22s. You know these obscure, wacky 22s. Every gun store has a little corner or a little rotisserie thing or some area that has these knock-around 22s. Sometimes they're in really good shape. Most of the time, they're in various states of, needing repair, disrepair, firing pin hitting on the edge of the barrel too many times and peening it out, or magazines missing. A lot of times you find these with the box magazine hole here, and you're like, there's no magazine. Which, strangely enough, did happen with this one, but it is a butt loading, no magazine tube. So they made this thing, Mossberg, in 50 and 51. This particular model. You would think just looking that 50 and 51 are the only, like how you're going to find that magazine tube, but it is shared with a few different models. We'll get into that. We'll poke around. Let's just talk about this one first a little bit, a little like nomenclature. So it's a 24-inch barrel. I think it's supposed to a couple of places 23.5-inch barrel, but nice long barrel for a 22. 15-round tubular magazine in the stock, supposedly. No serial number on this guy, so you can't really date it, but this model, like I said, 50 and 51, so if you're right in there. It's semi-auto, 6 pounds. This particular model comes with this Monte Carlo comb, pistol grip, this knob forend. And Mossberg calls this the 180 front sight, the number 180. And this is the number 134, sorry, the front sight, 180. And the rear sight, the 134. The reason why I have that number is because a lot of these different models, when they change a little bit, all they're really changing is the sights. And they would call it a whole different model. I'll show you. We'll get into that. But let's just start with what I see in the store. And this is on the rack. I'm interested right away, but I do notice that, again, this was missed. The magazine tube is missing. And when I mentioned it to the gun store owner, he also says, he goes, yeah, it looks like there's a repair here in the stock too. They put a pin through it for some type of repair. He was like looking over here. He goes, I don't really see a crack, but looks like they pinned it. I wasn't sure. I was kind of looking at that, and I'm like, well, I've kind of seen that before, so I wasn't really that worried so much about that. But the missing magazine tube was a thing. So I took a look on eBay, and a couple of other places. I just poked around, Gunbroker, a couple of places, and I actually found one. I actually found one that was available. So I was like, well, let's time this right now. Let me go in and see if see what kind of deal I can make on this thing. $100 I picked this thing up for. Unfortunately, the magazine tube was right around the same price. But for a couple of $100, if I could put it all together, this thing is in beautiful shape otherwise, you know what I mean? So figured let's give it a shot, see if I could time this right. I went in, got the rifle, ordered the magazine tube. So here's what comes in the mail. There it is. A little bit of foam. Got some bubble wrap, some foam, some peanuts, some Cracker Jacks. And here's what we got. I've cleaned it up a little bit. Let's put it back in the box and the bubble wrap for dramatic effect. But yeah, I clean these. I like to take I actually have a 17 caliber, .17 cleaning rod, and use that and the the pass-through, like the loop with the pass-through for the patch. And I get the follower here right up at the top, and I push it in with the rod, and let me see if I still have it here. Yeah, then the patch you know, the patch comes out looking like that. So you know, there's a pretty good amount of like sticky dirt that comes out of there. And it's always going to make these magazines tubes flow a little smoother, you know. And that's an odd one with this follower that moves around. Mossberg did it a little odd, but there we are. Let's get it going. There it is. Should have just, sorry, let me switch it around. I should have just left it the other way, because at least you could have the excitement of seeing it pass through the loading port here. So that's how these work. It's basically a magazine, just like a box magazine, but it's shaped like a tube. It has a spring-loaded follower in it. There's a tube inside the stock right here that goes from a hole here, straight up at an angle, right through here, right to the loading area, right to the bottom of the bolt. And that's exactly what it does, is feed rounds under spring pressure, one at a time, right up here. And it has a, you know, it usually has some type of catch back here. Here we have a, see that locking lug right there that you turn in and lock it in. This doesn't really feel like, you know, the greatest one in history. This was a cheaper model. I mean, it was not a, you know, tremendously expensive rifle even back in the day. But you did get a lot for your money with Mossberg. You honestly did. And the story is that this pin right here is original. It's supposed to be that way. It holds the trigger in, and we'll get to that. We'll take a look. Let's pull up now. I just want to take a look at the timeline of Mossberg here. So this was really cool. I found this online. You could probably just put in chronology of Mossberg Firearms with that data. It'll probably pop up where you'd be able to download it too. Props to whoever put this together. It's pretty comprehensive. I like it. And I'm going to hold on to it. It goes all the way up to modern day. Here's the 1969 is when the 500 AB hit. That one's a 73. It's kind of cool just that the way it's broken down. It seems like Mossberg really changed model numbers around just with changing a few little things. So they started making stuff in, looks like 27, looks like the first 1922. Here we go. Slide action 22 rifle single shot. So it looks like the early 20s is when Mossberg started making stuff. So just a quick history. It's started in 22 there with Oscar Frederick Mossberg. He lived from 1866 to 1937. And he was born in Sweden, came to the U.S. in 1886 at 20 years old, worked for Iver Johnson Arms and Cycle Works in Massachusetts, and supervised the revolver and shotgun manufacturer. That's where he got his start. He moved along, worked for a couple of different companies, but wound up inventing, I think when he worked for Stevens, invented a 4-shot Derringer type gun and built it in a backyard shop with his sons. And that's where Mossberg and Sons started. Now this guy was their first semi-automatic 22 rifle. And it started here as the Model 50 in 1939. So it was pre-war. And, or, you know, like just like actually like during the war, you know, like look at when these were made. So you see, let me zoom in a little bit. I'll show you what I mean about like options, how that's where the models changed. So the Model 50 was only made in 39, and it shows you like what kind of rifle it was. And then, so the 51 was the same one, but with target sights and a flat back, whatever that means. We'd have to look it up. 51M. 39 to 42, so that stayed around a little bit longer. They kept making that one, and it had a Mannlicher stock with 22 semi-auto, all new action and safety design with target sights. Then 44, looks like there was another redesign, same as the 51M, but with a number 4 peep sight. That's all they did was change it to a peep sight and now in 45, changed to a different type of peep sight. See what I mean? So then this 51 MA, MB. So that was, it's like the war kind of slowed things down. Mossberg was making a lot of stuff for the war effort. Although, you know, these dates do go right straight through the war. It's kind of interesting. But they could have been selling stuff that they had already manufactured. But we picked this rifle up again in 1950. Sorry, not in 50, in 46. So you know what? They did make these straight through the war, evidently, because we just left off with the 51M in 1945. And here we are in 46 with the same Mannlicher stock, basically like the same gun, huh? And 47 to 48, but with different sights. The S130 sight replaced the S100. So you see these different dates here for different types of these 151Ms. You see a lot of those around. But this 151K, they got rid of that Mannlicher stock. It's a sporting stock. This is what they call the sporting stock with this type of configuration back here, and had the pistol grip and everything. And it didn't have that, just had that knob forend there. And that one, the 51K, was that model, and it was only from 50 to 51. That was it. So yeah, so let me see. I had some notes here that I wrote out. The 151M had a 20-inch barrel. So that was a big difference between that. This was a much longer barrel, the sporting barrel. And it was made from 46 to 58 altogether. So if you really took in like all of these different models, all of these different, breaking down these different variations, it was made from 46 to 58. The 151K here, again, just 50 and 51. Now, there was a model 152 that moved into a detachable box magazine. So we would call that definitely a different gun. I mean, once you're changing the magazine, I'd say it's a different gun. But again, shared a lot of the same parts. It had a hinged forearm. That was made from 48 to 57. So right in the same years, you could get that one as well. One cool thing, check this out. There's not much information on these to really show like diagrams or different models or anything. Not easy to come up with info. An awesome source was my Encyclopedia of Modern Firearms. This is that Brownell book. Man, is this book excellent for this particular model, because what you could do here is, so, geez, I don't want to get too much glare going on. What are you going to do? They are glossy pages here. No, that's not so bad. So this is the 50 here. Now what's cool about this is you could take a look at some of these part numbers, right? Like over here, R278. That's for the Model 50, 51M. Now, a couple of pages, look, you got to even go through this. A couple of pages here, we get to the 151. With the 151, here's the same tube, R278. Isn't that what it was? R278, yep. So, you know, it's the same tube. You know, let's pick another part. This cap on the back of the receiver, R474. Now let's go over to the 51. Now you see that's different. This has like a rod attached to it to a spring. So see, there's a difference here. But the trigger, R304, R487. Oh, we got a different trigger. Let's take the magazine tube, which was what we had to purchase. R281. R281. So we got the same magazine tube between both of those models. And this way you could look up a magazine tube for any of these or for the 151. Now here's the 151M, right? R278 was it? Where's the R281? There it is. R281, R281. So it's the same magazine tube. Here's the 151. The only difference was the sights. You could sit there and go back and forth between these two. Actually, they only break down a few parts here for the 151K, but since we know it's the same except for the sights, we could use this much more detailed 151M breakdown. You can see the different sight right here. So this is awesome. This is what this Brownell's book is good for. But definitely got the right magazine tube. We can even tell by looking at it. It's that pointy follower, the little dot on there to cam it, and the way this knurled piece looks on the end. Definitely. So let's break out some snap caps. Not even messed with this thing yet, honestly. This is brand new to me. Let's get out some of our snap caps here, our 22 snap caps. Realistic snap caps, our buddies, are, I believe, hard at work trying to do some 22 examples for us. They may be like disposable, you know, like where if you want to actually snap on them, that you're going to put dents in them and they'd eventually become, you know, they'd be disposable. You'd use them for a while and they get rid of them. These, not horrible, except for the fact that just the aluminum comes apart. And even these, I don't even want to really use them anymore because they're really starting to like look like they could be leaving parts behind. And you definitely cannot snap on these. But just even extractors and ejectors hitting these are starting to gall them up pretty good, where you got to worry about them getting stuck and things like that. Or you want to check function, and if they're all galled up, rifle might not function right, and it's really not the fault of the rifle, it's the fault of you know, your gunked up, your torn up snap caps. Not that brass ones wouldn't get torn up in this manner, but I want to see what realistic snap caps can put together for me. I really do. They say they're taking a look and they're going to try to work on it. We have our little cigar case right here with this is our realistic snap caps info. If you're interested. Again, these aluminum ones are not theirs, but if you want to keep an eye out to see if the 22 ones hit or any of the other ones that I've put across the entire channel. This is not a paid advertisement. These guys just hook me up with cool stuff, and they are an awesome company. And I like to spread the word. I love playing with their snap caps. And let's try these. Let's see. I don't know how many I put in there, but let's slide the magazine tube up here. See, this is the thing with this one. It's real tough capturing them all. You gotta like really mess around and manipulate. It's not a smooth one. Sometimes you see how you orientate it. If it's orientated straight up, it works better. Some of them, they work good muzzle straight down, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that on camera, obviously. So let's, the problem with these, when these tubes, you see, that's why the good ones, man, my Winchesters and stuff like that, this tube slides in like butter. You see how they're fighting going in. The rims don't want to go in here. Maybe, you know, deburring this edge in here could help. This edge maybe could help, like making it a little more funnel-like deburring the edge of it, making it a little less sharp. But you could get that many and it just really starts. Oh, there we went one more. Have we gone further than this yet? And it's supposed to take 15. I tried 15 already, and I was like, I couldn't do it. I figured I'll just put in like 7 or so. So, yeah, I went back one, and then I lost it. So that one popped out, and it's not going back in again. You could try shaking it. Horrible, right? You're going to do this out plinking? This is terrible. Let's see how many we have in there that we're failing like this. 4 is 8. So let's just try 5. All right, let's just try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And like, again, maybe if they were brass and they weren't all chewed up, it would be a little bit better. But I'm not doing live ammo till I'm at the range. So we'll try it at the range, see what happens. Oh, one more. All I got to do is go one more. We're almost there. Come on, there we go. We got 5. not so bad. So let's see how we load that first one. The first one with a magazine tube like this with the follower, the first one is the one that you'd have to, let's say, worry about. Let's see what happens. Now, we have to check to see if that loaded, so we'll do like a breech check. Oh, it's in there nice. Look at that. Nice. I did tighten up this magazine tube. Let's zoom out a little bit. Put my body here. Let's see how we eject. Nice. Real smooth. Oh, it's working good. How did I get 6? I got 6 of them out of there. You know what? I think it pushed the first one in. I might have put 9 in before. It might have pushed one right up in there. See how careful you got to be? Even if I was doing this and messing around with live ammo, how I would have thought that it was empty on that. Sure, I put 5 in there. We counted them together. But from when I was messing around before, we had 6 in there. See what I'm saying? This is how these guys, you turn your back on these guns. You're not paying attention. Anything can happen. But that's why we use inert rounds. Because you would just be like, wow, look at that. There was another one in there. And that's all that will ever happen. And you won't find out by, you know, putting a hole in something. Let's take this thing apart. Let's do that. Let's get it apart. No, it's been a while. I haven't been with you guys in a while. Life's been crazy. What can I tell you? I got so much to show you guys. It's intimidating. The examples I have to show you are intimidating. To make the videos is like, I don't even know if I can do them justice. So it's tough to even know where to begin. And all I've been doing is research, and I have a million notes, and now I do so much research, I'm like, I don't think I can even do a video with this much information. And that's what's happening. But we got some cool stuff on the way. And at least, I don't even know. So here's this magazine tube in here. You can see the follower right there. Interesting, right? And there's a cartridge stop here. See, there's a couple of videos up there online where guys take these apart or whatever, and they do a really great job. One guy, he had this spring. This is the trigger spring. Here's the trigger here. See how that pin holds the trigger in, and that's all that's there. See, there's something that could turn you off on these Mossbergs, is this plastic trigger guard here. And that's one of the things where when I saw these at gun shows, I always looked at that and I was like, not really into some 80s Mossberg 22. I didn't realize that they were 50, 51, 50s, 40s even. Because of this is like a trademark of theirs. They were one of the first to move into the plastic thing. Now, the thing about it is, it's totally like for show. It doesn't connect to anything else. It doesn't have anything to do with connecting to the action or like this right here feels like a solid block of forged steel right here, right? This is like milled steel. They're not fooling around with this part. But this doesn't feel weak either. It's kind of like small screws that go in here that are easy to strip, because people think they're used to putting together a gun. Usually this trigger guard and the action kind of bolt, like screw together to hold everything together. Not so with this one. It has this one takedown screw, and then this is just all separate. So all these two little wood screws they're not even wood screws. I don't even know what you'd call them. They're like teeny little screws. They just hold this trigger guard on. And you don't have to wrench them down to hold the gun together. And it's easy to pull them out. So one of these was okay. The other one, my trick to do these is I take a screw, take the screw hole, I take this off, and in the screw hole I put wood glue, and I screw the screw into the wood glue. And you wait till it dries. And when you screw the screw into the wood glue, you put a little bit of oil, just a coating of oil, teeny bit, not like a drip on the end of it. No, just wet it with your fingers, and even then wipe it a little bit, just so it's oily. When the glue dries, and it's just wood glue, I just use this like kind of wood glue like this, right? And then when the wood glue dries, you unscrew the screw right out of the glue, and the glue stays put. And it makes like new threads, and it connects to the glue. And then if you have any residue, you razor blade it off, put your part back on, and now you have threads to go back into again. So this one was okay. This one was a little stripped, and I fixed it. And this never needs to come off again. You never need to take this off to clean anything. And again, like I said, the trigger, look at the trigger mechanism. It's just a bar that goes across, and this pin holds it in with this spring right here. One of the videos I saw, this guy had the spring up under this tube. I don't know, he was doing something weird. I know for sure that it goes there because I was able to download, see if I can find it, and all this junk. Again, with all this research, that's why I had to do this video right away ahead of everything else, because I'm like, all right, here's one you did research on. It's fresh in your head. Get in there. Now, this didn't print right. It didn't print the right size. I didn't fit it to the page, so it kind of ran off the end of the page. But it doesn't matter. I have it like on my computer, on my phone, if I really needed to sit and look at it. But I just printed it out to show you guys. This is how I know that that spring goes like that. Is because I see it in, these are like takedown instructions from Mossberg. You know what I mean? This is from Mossberg. So that's how I knew. Reassembly tips, he shows exactly how to connect that or whatever, but that this spring is sitting on top of that tube just like that. So if you watch that video, the guy goes through this whole long process to try to get it. It says it's difficult to connect it when it's underneath. It doesn't go underneath. It goes right there. And I think it's easier to do it that way. Well, anyway, another thing that was weird is that this was loose, and this is like a spring. This kind of pushes up against this tube, the inner tube here, to hold it in place. And if this isn't in the exact right place, you can see the rifle goes together like that, that in order for it to feed correctly to under here, with the bolt into the receiver, in order for it to feed right, using this feed ramp right here, this would have to be at the exact right height. And how does it get to that exact right height? Look, watch. If you look, you can see. See how it's kind of springy? I don't want to push too hard because I don't want it to stay down. But when you put this together, see, I'm going to show you. When this goes together, okay, there's a little bit of, see that? Like it doesn't fit, doesn't just lay on top. It's going into this, it's laying the bolt, the bottom of the bolt is pushing against this right here. And that flat spring right there is actually springing it, holding it positively up against here, which it wasn't like that originally. When I got it, this was loose. And when I took it apart and put it back together, this went blap, right on top. And when I got the tube and I was cycling rounds through it, the first round, as soon as you opened the bolt, the first round would just shoot right out. Like right out of the tube and just fly out of the gun completely. So I knew something wasn't right. That's what it was. It just needed to be, this needed to be located a little bit better. And this needed to be tightened, and there's an edge on the bottom that goes up against an edge on this tube, you'll see, and that's the adjustment. And this helped a lot right here, because this kind of explained how to do that somewhere in here. That's for the bolt handle. I think it might have been here, somewhere on here. Trust me, just follow what I just told you. That should work. Okay, see that? So you hold it together to get the screw in there. Yep. And now that you get it to function properly. Now this guy, give you a little hint to how tight these need to be. You screw them down until they touch, right? Until it's like solid in there nice. And then you give it a, that's all. That's it. Learn how to feel that, because that's all you need. If you go too tight, no good. Yeah. It's cycles nice, this thing. I mean, it's like the springs are nice and tight, you know. And you know what I like about it? You could pull the bolt back, pull the trigger, and ride the hammer down. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, to relax the action. That I like. The safety and the bolt hold open are simply these holes right here. That one's the safety. Don't know if I trust that all too much. I mean, all it's got to do is get, you know, knocked out of there and it's just ready to fire. But it is the safety. It does say safe right there. And the bolt hold open is back one more to there. Is the bolt hold open. It will it hold open on the last round? No, I suppose not. There's nothing that's going to make that happen on the last round. So it does not have a bolt hold open. So it's one of those that every time you load it and shoot, you can snap the firing pin into potentially hurting it. I don't know if it's one of those interference ones or not. I don't see a single mark on the breech there or the firing pin. So it doesn't look like they touch, but better safe than sorry. So count your rounds so you know when to stop. And then don't just stop and start waving the gun around. If you stop and you think you're empty, it's going to look like this. Just cycle your action a few times to make sure. And take the magazine tube out. With these, I noticed these can get wacky. Like you could have the magazine tube with a kink in it, and it could hold onto a round sometimes. And then when you take the, you know, you go like this with the action even after shooting, you think it's empty, and then you take it somewhere and you put it down, or you put it on a rifle rack standing straight up, and when you bang the butt down into the rifle rack, it could dislodge that last round and have it sitting ready that if you cycle the action, you're loading it. I have seen that with these tube mags. So pull the tube mag out of it in these situations where you want to make sure that it's empty, let's say. So you're not just going from reloading it and shooting, reloading it and shooting. When you're done for a while and it's going to be stagnant with maybe some people walking around, take the mag tube out. Or at least make sure you see the follower. If you look down in there, you could maybe see it with some gun. This one you can't, I don't think, but regardless, you know where I'm going with it. If you unscrew this back here, this turns, see that? If that unscrews, then if you unscrew that, you could take the bolt out and everything, and it uses this last hole back there as a charging handle removal, and then everything just slides out the back, springs, bolt, everything, and you could clean it and oil it, whatever you need to do. Very convenient. This sight is such an awesome sight. I'm going to draw it out for you because I was thinking about some way to show the sights through the camera, and I really couldn't. So I'm just going to draw it. I've never seen a sight like this before. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to take one more look down it. Hold on. Just want to refresh my memory. Okay, so what it looks like. The front just looks like a regular post. So you'd see like the front post like this when you're sighting down. Right? Oh, you ain't seeing nothing over there. What the? Jeez. All right, so that's the front sight, let's say. So now the rear sight, when you're, one more refresher. So it looks like this. The rear sight looks like this. It looks like it kind of looks like that. But this area right here is very thin. So what you're looking at when you sight through it, you're probably supposed to be doing that. Putting the front sight right in the middle of that peep thing. But these two, I'm not really drawing it as, this is like very thin right here. These come out like that. They're almost like buckhorn looking, like that. And then there's like the circle right here. like that is more accurate. You know what I'm saying? And like it looks really cool to put the dot like right there, the front sight right there. It's hard to explain, but this definitely just goes straight across, but it's like so thin. And then these two pieces come across kind of like that to make this circle in the middle. And instead of using it like a peep sight and putting the front sight dot in the middle of that circle like that, where you see that in the circle, it looks kind of cool to put that dot at the top of the circle. If that makes any sense. Kind of hard to explain, but man, it looks awesome that way. It's so easy to maintain like the horizontal, the up and down sway or motion when you're lining it right up, like right in the middle of those buckhorn looking things on the top. It makes an excellent sight picture. So what I did was I adjusted the elevation here to be perfect at my range. I shoot these at the indoor range, the 22s now. It's freaking awesome. And it came out to be like the adjusting it like this came out to be absolutely perfect, like very, very accurate, super bullseye hitting 22. So yeah, that's so dark in here today. So let's take one more look at it. It's a plastic buttstock, and then there were different. You see, this light casts a shadow. I don't like this light. I'm just gonna. So there are some versions of it that have this is metal, this is plastic, same type of plastic, but this Mossberg plastic is just indestructible. Indestructible. It's strong. You ain't breaking it. Again, the Monte Carlo comb here, the pistol grip. Look how beautiful this stock looks too. Good job. Really was a nice find. And it's, you know, grooved here for the scope, for a scope if you want. With this rifle, though, I'm telling you, you don't need it. Let's look at what it says on here. I got my zoom kind of screwy today, so I guess we can get in there. Probably see. Yeah. O.F. Mossberg and Sons. So that's I think that's the old school name of it, you know, because his sons took over before before the Model 50 was even made. The founder, O.F. Mossberg, was dead already for a few years. So he never saw this one. He never saw a semi-automatic 22 in the stable. New Haven, Connecticut. Model 151K, 22 long rifle only. I could poke around and see if it'll feed longs or shorts, but why? Long rifle only sounds good to me. And that's it. That's the Mossberg Model 151. Somebody said they wanted to see another 22. And man, you did it to me. You know, you did it to me. You made me go to a place that I know has 22s, and I looked, and sure enough, there was one there. There was other stuff too, but there's always one that calls your name, whether it's got all the parts or not. And thank you for the people out there that actually have cool parts like this for some 40s, 50s Mossberg 22. I think there's supposed to be an O-ring on here. I think a lot of these tubes that have this gap here, this inlet, it's supposed to be a little rubber O-ring on here to locate the tube perfectly, number one, and to keep it from falling out. Because it's really easy when it only has like a shot or two left in it. If it's charged, it's held in tight, but when it starts getting towards the second to last and last round, it's easy for it to turn and fall out. And I think that's what those O-rings are for. Now, I looked on Amazon once and I saw like a bag of a whole different size small O-rings. You could probably find a certain size O-ring that fits with these. I think it was my Stevens Visible Loader also has this, and somebody said you're missing the gasket. I tried to use the rubber bands that are used for braces. And it kind of worked for a little while, and then I looked one day, like on one that I was using, and it was gone. And I was like, oh man, it fell off. And it was inside the tube. I got it out of there, but I'm like, I don't want to mess. I'd rather have nothing on there and the tube maybe fall out on the last round than get a rubber band stuck inside the tube or somehow it getting gummed up in the action or whatever. So if I could find an O-ring that really fits there nice and tight, I would trust it. But the rubber band thing was not cool. Somewhere I have a bunch of little ones that I was trying out but couldn't find the right size. I have them around here somewhere. Anyway, that's it. Model 151K. I know I forgot something. Who knows what, but we're coming back soon with something amazing, I promise. And I do have the next couple of weeks a little bit of spare time, so I'm going to try to get in a couple of these, get out from under some of these videos that are stacking up, and spend some time with you guys and show you some cool stuff. See you all later. Take care. All right, just wanted to put a follow-up in here with some with the shooting video. I thought I'm going to go to the range. I'm going to load it up. I'm going to struggle with that magazine tube a little bit, and just get some footage of me shooting it for the end of the video or during the video. But I was really, really surprised. So this first round here, I'm just putting in 10 rounds, figuring that if I load up the magazine, I'm going to have trouble, and I never felt it going so smooth. With nothing messing with the snap caps, what a difference. It went right in with the 10 rounds. And after the adjustment I had done with the spring that holds up that magazine tube, like I showed you with tightening that down, absolutely flawless. And this thing really feels great. And it's quiet. It's like, it feels like you're shooting with like a bull barrel gun, you know what I mean? Where it's like you hardly even feel anything, or it's the report is very quiet, very pleasant to shoot. But what really surprised me was that I should not have said that this thing was finicky with that magazine tube. I had to do a follow-up and just tell you that that was way off base. And instead of just deleting it out of there or whatever, I prefer just to leave the video as it is. It just shows the misconceptions you could have from A, when it's not set up right, and you're playing with it, and B, the snap caps that could be chewed up. Those are listed. The reason why I don't like those aluminum ones, and just the brass ones, whether they get chewed up or not, just seem to function properly. You saw the accuracy there on the target. I mean, the accuracy is there. So now I loaded up with 15 this time, and the magazine tube, I don't actually catch this one on camera. The camera's a little wonky, but believe me, the magazine tube slid home perfectly on the 15 rounds. You're really compressing the spring a lot, so it is difficult to actually go. I just burned myself right there. It is difficult to push it all the way home, and you have to have it lined right up, and you have to turn it. You have to have pretty strong fingers when you're compressing all 15 rounds into that tube. But they did fit, and the tube did not hitch at all. It actually pushed all the way in, the way a very high quality 22, the way those Winchester ones do work, the ones like I mentioned. And again, look at this, the accuracy with this thing is, I love that sight. It's very accurate. So with this one, you could see a little bit better, get the whole 15 rounds in here. And you can see I'm not just editing. You see the pile of them there. It's all 15. And see, you drop them in one at a time. You don't have to tilt the rifle forward. If you do it this way and you just push each one forward with the tube, makes it nice and easy just to lay it across your knees if you're plinking and sitting on a log, or if you're sitting on a range like this, you lay it on the table. And there's 14, there's number 15. So that tube is totally full. And look at that. It didn't hitch at all. And like I said, you just got to have, it's just tight, you know what I mean? It's pushing back pretty strong because that spring is totally compressed. But then I figured, let me throw out some rapid fire here, see if I could get this thing to hitch at all. And nothing. Absolutely nothing. Flawless. Absolutely flawless. Just a couple of things that I did notice here at the end after the shooting. One of them was that, look at that, punching the center of this target. One of them is that there was some tearing on a few of these. So I went through about 100 rounds and I found maybe 5 that had tearing like that. I don't think it's a major issue. I thought I should mention it. And here's the ammo that I was using, of course, CCI Standard Velocity 22. All right, y'all take care.